prototypes in tomorrow's race. We do have 4 vehicles representing 4 teams, and I think we're going to be looking good. It's going to be a very competitive race between the Daytona prototypes versus the LMP2 cars, and each type has some advantages and disadvantages, but I believe we are well prepared. We came here about 10 days ago and did our own 2-day test, not only with the GT Le Mans yellow Corvettes, but our Corvette DPs and the GS Camaros. So I think Chevrolet is well suited for this race. As he mentioned, I'm the program manager responsible for Chevrolet's efforts in the prototype class. Previously I was in charge when I was Grand Am of the Corvettes in the Grand Am class. I've been doing this now for over 10 years with Grand Am and IMSA. But my first time here was in 1985 with the Chevrolet Race Shop when it was IMSA. So a lot of old history here at this track, some good memories, and it's tough. To win here, it's a tough deal. This track shakes and rattles, as you're well aware, things that don't happen at other tracks. So it is a good endurance test of both machine and the people. So let me answer questions about our Corvette DPs, and I'll do my best to answer them. Back here.
When you merged in with the series and the vehicles were given a larger diffuser and downforce jumped up, how much of a jump in speed did you guys notice? Because obviously we've never seen a DP drive in Sebring until the merge, so we don't know how much faster it was, but how much did you guys notice? Because I can see these.
Well, when we merged from Grand Am to IMSA and combined the classes, it was a given that the performance level of the GT Le Mans cars would stay as is. So the prior Daytona prototype class from Grand Am wasn't fast enough to be significantly faster. So we were allowed to go up a little bit in engine power and significantly up in downforce. And apart from Daytona, these cars are now in what we call our high downforce package, which does include the diffuser. So we went up about 50 horsepower and a significant amount in downforce, and that was achieved through both the diffuser and a much better rear wing, more efficient rear wing. So that moved the DPs quick enough to now have some separation between that class and the GT Le Mans class. Now the LMP2 cars, which are more pure aerospace race car design, the closed cockpit, do inherently have more downforce because that's all they're designed to do. They don't have to look like anything. And the series has been working on balancing the two, and we're fairly close now. All our engines, and I'll get to you in a second, all our engines across our 4 Corvette DPs you'll see in the race are all done by Earnhardt Childress Racing engines, 5.5 liter, individual throttle body with Bosch 5.0 engine management. They all use 6-speed transaxle, lift without shift, paddle shift, carbon fiber brakes. We do have traction control, but we do not have anti-lock brakes. That's not allowed. But we do have live telemetry, so cars are constantly transmitting data back to the pits, just like in the yellow Corvettes. Each team has a staff of engineers monitoring engine, vehicle, driver, fuel consumption, and so forth. Yes, sir.
We're all happy about the prototype. I go home and tape it. The more you see is demo, and you don't see hardly any of that. Why do they just dwell on that so much?
Fair question. The question was, why in the TV coverage do you see much more of the prototype class than you do the GT Le Mans class? And a fair complaint, and really you need to complain back to IMSA, which controls the interfaces with the TV broadcasters. Because no question, you got an excellent race going on in the GT class.
I sometimes think it's because the overall race leader the general public who doesn't understand these different classes and everything, they're just interested, like from NASCAR, who's leading the race. And they're thinking a one-class series, and they don't understand. And I think the TV
That's
is
correct.
The TV
The
is
comment
catering
was,
to them.
for the TV spectator, it's more easy to just understand the overall leader of the race rather than the different classes. So that's an ongoing challenge to IMSA to explain. We have actually 4 classes running in this series. Each one has its own race and race leaders going on. But in Chevrolet's interest, yeah, we want both Corvette classes to get exposure. Yes, sir.
What's the weight approximately of your car?
Hang on here, because it changes at times. I knew that would come right up. I want to get it accurate here. $22.85 without the driver, without fuel. And so all the DP cars have to weigh that. The LMP2 cars have a slightly different weight. We run with a restrictor, so our engine has to breathe through a restrictor just like the yellow Corvettes do, which controls peak power. And the turbo cars out here also have to go through a restrictor, and they do have some level of boost control. So those are adjustments that Sanction Body does to try to get parity.
Jim, you sent the motors were all the same. Are the teams free to set up their suspensions as they want, or are these pretty much somewhat cookie cutters in some
Now,
respects?
each team has their own engineers, so yeah, they do their own adjustments for spring, shock, amber caster, tire pressures, so forth. The engines have the same calibration. Typically, we have multiple engine maps, so you basically have a power map for green flag. You may have another map or two that are a little better for fuel economy under green flag. Then we even have a pace car yellow flag map, and then you might have another one for rain conditions. So those are driver selectable, but those calibrations are set by ECR engines. And then we, part of our support package, we've done wind tunnel work and other measurements, and we actually publish in advance to our teams some recommendations on setups. So to help them have a good starting point, and then from there they dial in their own chassis. Yes, sir.
Now, we were informed yesterday that 4 teams are all Planeteers. How much involvement does General Motors support you guys?
Of the 4 race cars entered, they're really run by 3 organizations, and each of those organizations, General Motors has a business agreement with, which is both technical support as well as some business support. So we are, in effect, an associate sponsor, but it includes technical support. So like one of the things we'll do is, like 10 days ago, we'll facilitate renting a track where the teams can come and all get track time in. Yes, sir.
Here at Sebring, which would you consider more important? Top speed or downforce, and can the driver do anything with downforce while he's in the car?
Question is, what's more important here at Sebring? Top speed, downforce, and so forth. And these 2 drivers are going to be able to answer that question. My answer would be yes, all of the above. But shortly here, we're going to have Richard Westbrook and Michael Valiente from the Spirited Daytona. Visit Florida.com, Corvette DP, so you'll be able to ask drivers direct answers. Yes, sir.
Any of the DPs practice at multiple cars? Are there any plans to do that this summer?
Not at the new Corvette museum track. We haven't gone there yet as Daytona prototypes. We try to go test at actual racetracks we're going to run at. And the sanction body allows us to do that up to about 2 weeks before a race event. So depending on availability and budgets and so forth, that determines sort of the track testing. Yes, sir.
I remember when the P1s were using the LS6 engine architecture. Are they still doing it in the Daytona prototypes? Are they using it in LS engine architecture?
Yeah, these are LS7 blocks, LS-based cylinder heads with a custom specific intake manifold for individual throttle body with injection.
Are they planning to go to the LT1 architecture?
We're working on a future LT-based block that might come in next year. So with that, I think we ought to let our